So you're going to start by picking up 4 beads. We need 4 beads. So we are going to string these 4 beads on one end of our fishing line. And you're going to pull this 4th bead in front. Take this other bead and you're going to insert it like this. Do you see that? You're inserting it like this. So it pops out on the other side. Then you are going to pull it down. And this is what we are going to have. This is our first circle of 4, or you can call it a ring of 4. Okay, so this is our first bead. Now to continue, we are going to pick up 3 beads. Now we have 3 beads to work with. Now we are going to pick 1 bead on the fishing line on the left and 1 bead on the fishing line on the right. So we're going to insert this bead here, let it go down, insert it here, let it go down. Then you're going to pick up this 3rd bead, insert it here, see that? Then we are going to insert this other one here. As you can see, they are both on each side. Then you're going to pull your work downwards, and this gives us our second ring of 4, right? So we need to continue doing this, and this bead right here helps us complete our ring of 4. So if you want to make another ring of 4, of course we are going to pick up 3 beads. 3 beads. Pick up 1 bead with a fishing line on the right. Pick up 1 bead with the fishing line on the left, right? Then you pick up another 1 bead and you cross and you pull her down, and this is our 3rd row, right guys? So this is our 3rd row right here. So I'm going to repeat it again. So you pick up 3 beads, insert 1 bead into the fishing line on your left, insert 1 bead into the fishing line on your right, then you pick up 1 bead, and then you cross. So make sure you're pulling your work, and your work should be nice and chain. Let's call this a beginning chain, right? So we want to move to the next row, and to move to the next row we are going to have what I like to call turns, right? And to move to the next row, or to start building your mat properly, you are going to have a total of 2 turns. So we have a total of 1, 2, 3, 4. This is 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. That is how you count. And now we want to make the 5th one, and that 5th one is going to be a turn. Say if the tutorial you're watching says the total length is 16. Now that you're going to do 15, then you're going to turn with the 16th. Okay, so this is what we are going to do. Now this is what we have right here, right? And we want to turn. We want to start building our work this way, like we want to elongate it this direction. Okay, so what we are going to do is we are going to take the fishing line which is in the opposite direction and insert beads there. If I decide I want to elongate it this way, I'm going to use the fishing line which is on my left, which is the fishing line in the opposite direction. I hope that is making sense. So you can use whatever direction you want, whichever fishing line you want. So we already have 1 bead here, and we want to make a ring of 4. And since we want to turn in this direction, we want our fishing line to face this direction instead. Now our fishing line is facing forward, is facing ahead, and we don't want that. We instead want to start building the sides. Okay, so what we are going to do is I'm going to take this fishing line on my right. I'm going to pick up my normal 3 beads, but I'm going to insert all 3 beads into this fishing line on my right. So I'm going to insert 1, 2, and the 3rd bead right here. As you can see, all 3 beads are on that fishing line. Then I'm going to pull out that last bead, take my other end of the fishing line, which is the fishing line on my left. Then I am going to cross like we normally do. And as you can see, we crossed, and our fishing line is now facing this direction. I hope you guys can see that. It is now facing, we have 1 upwards, and we have a fishing line facing downwards. So this is our first turn, and this first turn helps us to move to the next row, and it helps to complete the row we are currently on. Okay, so we want to do the second turn, right? The second turn is going to help us to move from this row that we are on and start the second row, because this is row number 1 that we have here. So using the fishing line that is facing upwards, or the one facing away from the work, because this is our fishing line facing our work or touching our work, we are not going to use that fishing line now. We are going to use this one facing away from our work. So like I said, we're using this fishing line here. We pick up 3 beads. We have 3 beads here. Insert all 3 beads into that right fishing line, right? So we have all 3 beads onto the right fishing line. Then we are going to grab this fishing line which was facing downwards or away from our work, or facing our work, sorry. Then we are going to cross just like this. So as you can see, we have started our second row right here. So this is our second row right here, right? So right now we have a 1 2 3 4 5 by 2 rows, right? So if you want to continue working this row, we are going to take this fishing line which is on my dominant hand. Now if you're someone who is right-handed, I will advise you to keep the part that you're working on to be on your right, so that you can easily work it. So let me show you guys what I mean. So this fishing line on my right, I am going to insert it into this next bead right here. So let me put it down flat so you guys can see. This is what our work is looking like, right? I hope you guys can see. Then we have 1 bead, and we're going to insert it into this next one. So this bead right here is going to have a line enter it, right? So our fishing line now is attached to 2 beads. So the left fishing line, I call it the picking line. Okay, so this left fishing line is going to be in charge of picking beads. So if our fishing line is attached to 2 beads, how many beads do we need to complete our circle of 4? We need 2 beads. So we are going to insert 2 beads into the fishing line on the left, then hold on to that second bead, and we are going to grab the fishing line on the right, and we are going to cross it like this. You see that, guys? We have done the second row. Okay, so let's repeat that again. So our fishing line is attached to 1 bead. We are going to move to the next circle of 4, so we are going to make it to go to this bead here. So it is just entering into that bead. So this is the working line, by the way. The line on your dominant hand is the working line, and which is the line that enters into the previous row. Then you're going to pick up 2 beads into the picking line, hold on to that second bead, and we are going to cross with the second bead. And as you can see, our mat is building up. So this is basically just one method on how to work it. Okay, so we are going to insert our fishing line into the next bead, right? Then we are going to pick up 2 beads again, insert the 2 beads into the picking line, then we are going to cross with the working line. So this is how you build up your sides. Now we have gotten to the end of our work, and you don't want to do this. When you insert your fishing line like this time we want to turn, we want to move to the next row. So do not do this. Do not take the fishing line on your left and insert 2 beads like so, and the fishing line is popping out at the corner like this. Please do not do this. Do not do it. Okay, what you want to do is, now that this working line is attached to this, we are going to use that same line, this same line, right, to pick up 2 beads. And because we want to cross, we want our fishing line to face this direction instead. So we are going to pick up 1 and 2 beads into the working line. Then we are going to cross with the second bead. And as you can see, this helps us, like I said, we have 2 turns. The first turn helps us to complete our work, and is going to aid us to start the next row. So we have the fishing line facing our work, and this one facing away from our work. So this one's still facing away from our work, which is still the fishing line on my right. And I'm going to pick up 3 beads. Now why 3 beads now? Because our fishing line is attached to just 1 bead. Okay, so we need to complete that with 3 beads. So I am going to keep this fishing line away. Then I am going to pick up 1, 2, 3. Our fishing line is attached to 3 beads. Then I am going to cross with the third bead. So like I said, this is our second turning, and once she is done turning, as you can see, we are in row number 3. So this is 1 2 3 4 5 by 1 2 3. Okay, so this is our width of the back depending on what you're doing, and this could be the length of our back, right? So I'm going to show you guys again. You insert your fishing line into the next moving bead, and then you're going to pick up 2 beads with the fishing line on your left. This fishing line on the left, we have our 2 beads, and we are going to cross with the second bead. Okay, so repeat again. We are going to insert our fishing line into this next bead right here, into the following bead, right? Then we are going to pick up 1, 2, cross, just like that. Okay, so you're going to repeat the same thing again. Then pick up 2 beads, second bead, and insert your line again. Then so we are at the end, right? So with this fishing line facing away from our work, this one on my right, I am going to pick up 2 beads with it. 1 2. Then like I said, it's our first turn, cross, and our fishing line is now facing upwards and downwards, upward and downward. So with the one facing upwards, or the one facing away from your work, you are going to pick up 3 beads, string all 3 beads into the fishing line, right? Pull up this one. Then with the other end of your line, you are going to end up like this. So you're going to continue. So we're 1 2 3 4, and you can build it like this until you have a very long base for your beaded bag. Okay, now we are going to learn how to bead the mat with the second method, which is the loop method. So I'm just going to rush through this part because we did this in the first class. I'm still going to talk about it, but I'm just going to rush through it until we get to where we need to stop in order to turn to the next row. So we are going to start as we normally would by picking up 4 beads and stringing them on one end of the fishing line. Then the loop method was using that same fishing line that we strung those beads on, grabbing the very fourth bead that we had, we insert it back into the loop, and then we take the other fishing line, which is the fishing line on my right here, insert it into the loop. Then we are going to pull everything down, and we are going to force the loop into that bead that we decided to call the loop bead, that fourth bead right there. And we're going to start building up our mat now. So I'm going to repeat what we did in the first class. So you're going to grab 3 beads. On the left fishing line, you insert 1 bead. On the right fishing line, you insert 1 bead. and the third bead you're going to insert it on the left fishing line, or you could do it on the right fishing line, either way works. But I'm going to insert mine on the left fishing line, and I'm going to use that same fishing line, and I'm going to go back inwards, pull the fishing line through till we have that small little loop there. Then I'm going to grab the fishing line on my right, insert it through the loop. Then I'm going to try to cross so that our loop is going to be, we are going to be able to hide our loop into that loop bead right there. So the crossing bead and the loop bead are practically the same thing, just two different methods. So we are just going to work this into a similar mat like what we had for the cross method. And now we have 4 rows, and now we want to do the 5th row, and the 5th row is going to be our turning row. So you're going to grab whatever end of the fishing line you want, then you're going to insert all 3 beads into that fishing line. This is our first turn. You're going to insert the loop back into the 3rd bead, the fishing line on the left, or the fishing line that has all the beads back into the 3rd bead. Then you're going to insert the other fishing line into that loop. Then you are going to interlock or cross. Let's use the word interlock here instead of crossing, okay? Then you're going to pull the fishing line so that that loop is going to be in the loop bead. So our fishing line is facing the sides now, and like I said, for the cross method, if your tutorial is asking you to do 15 rows, no, they are going to do 14, and the 15th one is going to be a turn. So this is our first turn, right? And now for the second turn, you're going to grab the fishing line which is facing away from your work, still string 3 beads on that same fishing line, and then you are going to go back into the 3rd bead with the same fishing line, then form that loop, grab the other fishing line, insert it into the loop. Then you are going to interlock it like this. I hope all of this is making sense. Like I said in the first class, if what I'm saying doesn't make sense, please just watch my movements with my hands, okay? Now we're going to continue. Okay, we're going to start building our mat. So the fishing line on my right, or the working fishing line, is going to go into the next bead from the previous row. And with the fishing line on my left, or the picking line, I am going to pick up just 2 beads this time, just 2 beads on that fishing line. Then I'm going to go back with that same fishing line into the 2nd bead, grab the fishing line on my right, insert it into the loop. Then I am going to pull through, interlock it. I'm going to interlock it like this. Then I am going to tension my I'm going to pull both fishing lines in the 2 opposite directions so that the loop enters the loop bead. So I've moved my working line into the following bead from the previous row. And on the left fishing line, I just picked up 2 beads, and I'm inserting that same fishing line into the 2nd bead. I have taken the fishing line on my right, and I have looped it. I've inserted into that loop, and now I am just going to interlock it, and I am going to pull both fishing lines in the 2 opposite directions so that it's going to make it firm. Dear students, this method is literally the best to build your beaded mat with it, because if you have a weak hand, if you're a beginner, I think you're always going to have a weak hand, because you're not like strong in the game to make your bag to be firm. So this method automatically makes your bag to be firm, okay? But if you do not like this method and you prefer the cross method and your bag still ends up to be weak, don't worry, I'm still going to upload tutorials in this class, in the same series, on the different ways to make your beaded bags to be strong, okay? So we have just done the second and the last but 1 bead, and we are going to do a turn now. So I've inserted my fishing line into the last bead from the previous row. Then on that same fishing line, which is the fishing line on my right, I'm going to pick up 2 beads. Now I'm picking up 2 beads now because my fishing line is attached to 2 beads already. So to complete that circle of 4, we need 2 beads, okay? Then I'm sending that same fishing line back into the 2nd bead to form the loop, taking the fishing line on my left this time, inserting it into the loop and then we are going to interlock it and pull it as hard as we can in the two opposite directions. Okay, so this is row number 2. So this is a 5 by 2 mat that we have made. As you can see, the length is 5, the width is 2, and we are going to continue building. So the fishing line which is on my right now, which is the fishing line facing away from my work, I am going to string 3 beads and 3 beads because our fishing lines are in two opposite directions, only attached to 1 bead. So we need 3 beads to complete that row, that ring of 4. Okay, and when you've done that, you insert the fishing line to the 3rd bead, the same line to the 3rd bead, and then you are going to take the other line, insert it into the loop that formed, and you're just going to interlock it and pull as hard as you can, both fishing lines in the two opposite directions. Now, like I said at the beginning, whenever I am working with a mat like this, the parts that I've already worked on, I always keep it on my right side because I find that it's easier for me to use the working line to go into the previous beads from the other row. Okay, so I'm just repeating the same motions that we already know now. Pick up, insert our fishing line on our right into the following bead from the previous row. Then with the fishing line on the left, you're going to pick up 2 beads. Then you're going to take that same line, insert it back into the 2nd bead, and then you are going to insert the fishing line on your right into the loop. Then you're going to interlock it and pull as hard as you can in the two opposite directions. So you're just going to continue doing this until we get to the end again. I want to apologize for any noises that you hear in the background. It is beyond my control. And also, if in any part of this series or these classes you do not understand anything, please do not hesitate to talk to me in the comment section, because I tried as much as possible to make these videos as simple and as understandable as possible, even for children. So if you need more clarification, I'll be willing to hear you out, or you can DM me on my Instagram if you want to talk privately. Okay, now we have our 5 by 3 rows. We are about to end the last row, the 3rd row right now. So I'm inserting my fishing line into the last bead from the previous row, and on that same line which is facing away from our work, I'm going to string 2 beads, and then I'm going to insert that same fishing line back into the 2nd bead to form the loop. Then with the fishing line on my left, I am going to I'm going to insert that fishing line into the loop. Then I am going to interlock it and hold it down like so. Then we are going to start another row again. That's row number 4, and it's the same motion. To start, you always start with 3 beads, insert the fishing line into the 3rd bead, grab the other fishing line, and you're going to insert it into the loop. Then you are going to pull as hard as you can, making sure that that loop hides in the loop bead. So this is basically it for this matting tutorial. So whichever one you prefer to do your beaded bags with, you can go ahead and use it, and you can make this mat as long as you want. Okay, so like I said, that's basically it. It is nice and firm. It's not as flimsy as the first method. So yeah, I'm going to see you in our 3rd class.